Alright guys, welcome to another installment of My First Pet Reptile, part of Jace Exotics. And here, today, we're going to show you how to incubate Crested Gecko Eggs. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so you guys got Crested Gecko Eggs and you don't know what to do. You're freaking out. Things like, oh my god, what do I do? And this is a question that on forums you get asked a lot, I get asked a lot what happens, and so on. So, you got a female Crested Gecko and you paired it with another one and you got eggs. Scenario number one. Scenario number two, you got an adult female from someone. Most likely it was paired with another one because breeders pair them when they're waiting up for sale, and they got eggs. So what you want to do, the first thing is, don't freak out. The easiest geckos to incubate are Crested Geckos, and next are the new. This also will work with gargoyle geckos and lychees and ceratodum. So what you want to do is you want to slowly take the lay bin and excavate the eggs slowly, as you'll see above. And what you want to do is you make sure you take them out little by little, and make sure that when you finally excavate them, you put a little notch on the top with I use a Sharpie. The Sharpies are one of your best tools. I can't, I mark everything with Sharpie when it comes to the reptile room, just because it's permanent and it's great. But what you want to do is make sure you mark it on the top. Now there's two reasons why I do this. One is you don't want to rotate the egg because the egg can die. The embryo can detach and die, and the other two is you can drown it. So what happens is, wherever the Crested Gecko lays their eggs, the embryo attaches to the very top, and that's the problem with rotating them, because you can kill it. Now the other reason that I use it is when I put things in I put my eggs in my incubation medium. Another Cresty would hatch and will go over to the egg, and sometimes it rotates them because it's freaking out. It's new to the world, doesn't know what's going on, and now it has to fend for itself. Has no clue what's going on. And that's why I kind of love Crested Geckos, because hatchlings are so funny because they have no clue what they're doing. And it's just a clean slate. So Crested Gecko will go in and move the egg around, I want to make sure I'll be able to rotate it so I don't leave it there and then it'll kill it. Now, a lot of people say, should I candle my eggs and so on. If you just have one Crested Gecko female per bin, you don't have to candle them. Now, I candle some of my eggs that I have two females in a bin that are laying eggs at the same time. Sometimes they'll lay eggs both on a day before and I don't catch it because I only check the lay bins every other day. So if I have more than one egg, I know that someone's kicked some of them up. And most likely they're rotated because they're digging in there and they don't care that there's another egg in there because they don't know any better, and those eggs will be rotated. So in another video I'll show you how to candle it. So what you do is you put a flashlight underneath, you'll see a little Oreo on it, and the Oreo should be on the top, and then you mark it, put it in your lay bin just as you can see in the video above, and that's it. Don't word of caution, do not keep candling them. But I know people get excited. I'm like, oh my god, I need to candle them. People all the time candle them, and then they either can rip the egg, because the eggs are actually, even though they're a harder shell, they can rip because it's still kind of soft. And the other thing that they do is they drop them and then they kill the Crusty. So leave them alone for the time period. You just want to expect it a few times. So alright, so two mediums that you can use. One is Perlite. What you do with Perlite, most people recommend, is that you fill up wherever you're going to put it. Is it a Deli Cup, or I use sometimes a bigger bin, as you're going to see above, and fill up the medium in there. Now with Perlite, you have to put it on a scale and measure it. Now the original recipe is 1 part Perlite to 0.8 parts water. So what you do is if you have 40 grams, you add so much to 0.8, blah blah blah. I think it's a little over the top, and I think it's a little, excuse my word, like OCD or anal. I just do 1 part water to 1 part Perlite. Vermiculite is the same way. You use 1 part that, 1 part water, and call it a day. What you want to do is that it absorbs the water, but not drip. If it's dripping, you have to make sure you squeeze it out and put it back in. I use both. I also use, my favorite is Pangea Hatch. And you guys haven't seen it, see the review on Pangea Hatch. It's a great product. I had a 100% success rate so far. I haven't had a Crested Gecko egg that wasn't viable, not hatch, because of it. So, if you haven't seen my video, check it out. But if not, I'll show you really quick in the little videos above. What you do is you fill your cup with how much you want. I usually do about at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches on the Deli Cup. Run it under water, or like either fill the tub with water and let it soak up because you'll hear it like crack, snack, or pop, and then put it in, then drop it out in the calendar and let the water fall out. And then you'll notice that it'll change colors. Like this will be dry and this will be wet. So pretty much you can tell the difference. Now this is the reason why I love Pangea Hatch. Alright guys, so now you got it. The next step is the temperature. Now, a lot of people say, how do I incubate my eggs? My house is either too hot, my house is too cold, I don't know what to do. So, on average, you want to incubate your eggs the same temperature that your Crested Geckos are in. So, if so an average of 70 to all the way to 79 or 80. Now, people are going to freak out all of a sudden. They're like, oh, you're keeping your eggs at like 79 or 80? Okay, in the wild, New Caledonia fluctuates into the high 80s and Crested Geckos are still good. What it is Crested Geckos get a lot of moisture in the summer, and they're underneath they're on the shadow all the time because they only live in like about 6 foot radius from the ground. So they're shaded all the time, so of course they're going to be a little bit cooler. And there's a lot windier when they're at. It's an island, it's windy. So what I personally prefer, I keep mine around like 72 to 75. And how I keep a constant temperature is I put all the Deli Cups in a cooler. The cooler is insulated, as you'll see above, a nice little picture. And I put a thermometer and check it out like that. So that way they stay at constant temperature. And honestly, with the Pangea Hatch, I never had to add any water. Now the problem with the Perlite is that sometimes that you'll get a little bit of water. You will have to add a little bit of water. And if you do, don't add it directly on the eggs because that actually can expand the egg and then crack it. You want to make sure that you put a little bit of water on the edge or spray on the edge of the cup or the place where you're keeping the eggs. Now, to avoid all that, just use Pangea Hatch and it'll do a lot better, trust me. But if you don't, if some people just love Perlite or Vermiculite, use it. There's nothing against it. I have used actually both because I keep leopard geckos and I feel leopard geckos are better with Perlite. Just because they like a little bit less moisture. So I like that version better for that. But, you know, now the next step is the timing. How long does it take for my eggs to hatch? I, on average, find my eggs hatch around the 3-month mark. Just because of my constant temperature that I keep them in. So in 3 months, I know that I'm going to get Crested Gecko eggs. Now, I put a hole on the top of the lid and the bottom of the cup, just because I'm anal. It's actually a little small hole just for air exchange, just so they can get that flow in, because the eggs do breathe. So just make sure that whatever cup you use, either you open it every week to check on them, or you have a hole in them. I don't check on them every week. I'll usually I won't open the cup every week, but I will check on them every week. Now, anywhere from, they can hatch anywhere from 45 days to anywhere from like almost 4 or 5 months. I had some eggs that hatch all the way to like 5 months. Now, be patient with your eggs. If they haven't hatched in 3.5 months, and they still look good, you'll notice that a bad egg will be moldy, either sunken, and so on. A good egg will fight all that kind of stuff off. So you'll know it is being still nice and crisp. I'll start being nice and plump, and when they're ready to hatch, they're really big and plump. And you almost see them sweat. Like when they start sweating, and you can almost see almost like a crack, is when the Crested Gecko is going with a little tooth and it's actually cracking the egg. So it's great. So you definitely know when they're gonna hatch. All right. Let's see. Any other things that I haven't seen? No, pretty much. Enjoy your eggs and be patient. I think the best part of keeping Cresties is actually breeding them. So be patient with your eggs. Love them. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. Email me. I have email at myfirstpetreptile.com. And you can check out my website. Hit the subscribe button below. Check out my other videos. And of course, every first of the month, every first Saturday of the month, we'll be having a new video. So check me out on Facebook at My First Reptile. Check me out on Instagram, which I love posting pictures at My First Reptile. And check me out on Twitter at My First Reptile. Alright guys, love you. Check you out next month. And remember, do what you love, because if not, what's the point of it? Hey!